Morning, everyone. And this morning we're going to be thinking about a passage from John's Gospel, which records for us the events that happened on the day that we are remembering today as Palm Sunday. So let me just read those words to you to start with this morning. They're from John 12 and verses 12 through to 19, and they're known as the triumphal entry. The next day, the great crowd that had come for the feast heard that Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem. They took palm branches and went to meet him, shouting, "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the King of Israel." Jesus found a young donkey and sat upon it, as it is written, "Do not be afraid, O daughters of Zion. See, your king is coming to you, seated on a donkey's colt." At first, his disciples did not understand this. Only after Jesus was glorified did they realize that these things had been written about him and that they had done these things to him. Now the crowd that was with him had continued to spread the word that he had called Lazarus from the tomb, raising him from the dead. Many people, because they had heard that he had given this miraculous sign, went out to meet him. So the Pharisees said to one another, "See, this is getting us nowhere. Look how the whole world has gone after him." This is the word of the Lord. Everyone loves a parade. Everyone loves to see the images of a parade, to hear the noise of a parade, to join in with a parade. A parade is about noise, about colour, about rejoicing and exuberance, about expectations of something great happening. And as Jesus comes to Jerusalem, he leads a parade. But it's a very unusual kind of parade. Yes, there's singing. Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Yes, there's colour, as far as colour was known in those days. Yes, there's exuberance as the crowds who accompanied him to Jerusalem get excited and cry out about their coming king. So there's all these characteristics that we would expect of a parade. And yet there's something unusual about it as well. Yes, there's colour. Yes, there's noise. Yes, there's celebration. Yes, there's singing. But there's also an ominous silence, opposition going on in the background, suspicion about who this is and what he has come to do. There's something really odd, though, about this parade. I love the scene in Shrek 2 when Shrek and Donkey take a magic potion. And this magic potion has the power to turn Shrek from an ugly old ogre into a charming prince. And for Donkey, his faithful companion, the annoying donkey, it has the power to change him from a humble donkey into a magnificent stallion. And they take the potion. And that's what it does. The ugly ogre becomes a handsome prince. The annoying donkey becomes a magnificent steed. We look at this parade and we think, why isn't it a handsome prince coming into Jerusalem? And why isn't he riding a magnificent steed instead of a humble donkey? If this Jesus really is someone greater, how come he's a carpenter, not a king? And if this Jesus really has come to do something bigger, how come he rides a humble old donkey? not a magnificent steed. This is an unusual parade. Exuberant, exciting, celebratory, colour, noise, all that we'd expect. But why is it being led by a carpenter on a donkey, not a king on a stallion? How can we believe that this one is someone greater, come to do something bigger? What is a carpenter from Nazareth riding on a donkey going to achieve in the face of Roman domination? That was the question that people were asking. And that's why some of them were ominously silent. This can't be the one we've longed for. This can't be the someone greater. He can't do something bigger. But remember, John began his gospel with these words: "The Word became flesh and lived for a while among us." The whole point of Jesus is that he defies human expectations. He comes as a baby born in humble circumstances. He lives as a carpenter in the backwaters of Galilee. He lived for a while among us in every way. But now he begins to demonstrate that despite outward appearances, he really is the someone greater. The passage reminds us that he's just raised Lazarus from the dead, and the crowds are still excited about that. And this is a pointer that despite him coming in humble circumstances, he's come to do something greater. He's come to bring life to people, although not in a way they expected. And so at the beginning of this Holy Week, as we remember this morning the great parade of Jesus riding into Jerusalem, yes, at one level, it's a carpenter riding a donkey. But at another level, it's pointing to something bigger. It would be nice for many people in those circumstances, they thought, if he came as a king riding a stallion. But the carpenter on a donkey was the one who would indeed become the king, who was someone greater. And he didn't need human instruments, the outward trappings of human power and authority to achieve the something greater. The something greater that was achieved by the humility of his death on the cross and the glory of his rising again 3 days later. Jesus is someone greater, come to do something bigger. And this week is the climax of that. And as we begin this week, this morning, may we be reminded again that in this parade, yeah, at one level he's a carpenter on a donkey, but there's more to Jesus than that. He's the King come to redeem his people. And as we follow his journey this week, we will see that in all sorts of different ways. And I pray that as we do that, we might truly see who Jesus is and what he's come to do.